By the time I arrived home, my heart had finally begun to settle, the earlier palpitations giving way to a quieter rhythm. It had been a night unlike any other, one packed with tension, surprises, and moments I hadn't anticipated. The events of the evening had left a lasting mark, one I wasn't entirely sure I could shake off just yet. Though I was no stranger to turmoil, being a police officer and all, this felt personal. The kind of thing that leaves a lingering ache. I opened the fridge, grabbed a beer, a speckled hen, and collapsed into my favorite chair. The familiar weight of the bottle in my hand was oddly comforting. All I could do now was wait. My sweet wife Jenny was out with her friends, as she often was these days, and the house felt emptier than usual. Minutes crawled by. 20. The quiet hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the house were my only companions. Just as I began to wonder if their evening would stretch into the early hours, I heard the unmistakable sound of a key turning in the lock. My pulse quickened. This was it, the moment that could go in countless directions. By morning everything might change. Jenny stepped through the door, her presence as striking as ever. Even after years of marriage, she still had the kind of beauty that turned heads. Tall and elegant, her long legs carried her with a grace that belied the time. Her figure, slim yet full in all the right places, was highlighted by her choice of clothing tonight, and her face, so youthful and soft, seemed to glow even in the dim light of the hallway. "Oh, Jerry," she said, her voice tinged with surprise. "What are you doing up?" Her tone was casual, as if she hadn't noticed the tension in my shoulders or the weight in my gaze. She glanced at the clock. It was past 2 in the morning, so her question wasn't unreasonable. Usually, I'd have been asleep hours ago, letting her come and go without comment, trusting that her nights out with Sue and Jude were as harmless as she claimed. "I couldn't sleep," I replied, keeping my voice even. She shrugged off the comment, moving to hang her coat, but then she hesitated. A small, almost imperceptible pause. Under normal circumstances I might not have noticed it, but tonight everything felt heightened. Her hesitation was enough to send a fresh wave of unease through me. Her top, tight and revealing, clung to her in a way that left little to the imagination, especially since I knew she'd removed her bra before coming home. It was a detail I couldn't ignore, one that painted a vivid picture of her night out. Dancing, drinking, and drawing the attention of men who couldn't keep their hands to themselves. The thought gnawed at me. "Did you have a good time?" I asked, masking my thoughts behind a calm exterior. "Not bad," she replied with a casual shrug. "Nothing special. Just the usual. Just the usual." The words echoed in my mind, stirring a storm of emotions. Was this really her usual? The image of her out on the dance floor, surrounded by eager hands and admiring eyes, flashed in my mind again. How often had she come home like this, while I lay asleep, blissfully unaware? She smiled at me then, sweet but tired, and asked, "Are you ready for bed? At least I won't have to wake you up tonight." It was true. I couldn't complain about her waking me when she slipped into bed after these nights out. When I wasn't too soundly asleep, she'd wake me with a kiss or a touch, her affection as intoxicating as ever. And if I was, she'd wait until morning to make up for lost time. But tonight was different. "Wait, Jenny," I said, my voice steady but firm. She stopped, turning back to me with a hint of curiosity. "Can't it wait until morning, Jerry? I'm really tired, and I want to take a shower before bed." "No," I said, the weight of my words filling the room. Her expression shifted, the light in her eyes dimming as she registered my tone. For the first time that evening, she really looked at me, and the smile on her face faltered. "Take off your coat," I said quietly, though there was no mistaking the command in my voice. Jenny hesitated, her hands hovering over the buttons. "It's okay," she said softly, her voice still calm, though I could sense the unease creeping in. "Take it off," I repeated, my voice harder this time. For a moment we simply stared at each other, the tension between us thick and unspoken. The air in the room felt heavier than it had moments ago, and I braced myself for what would come next. When I asked her, she jumped to her feet, startled, her body tense with shock. For a moment she hesitated, her eyes darting toward me, before she slowly began to remove her coat. She moved cautiously, as though every gesture might betray her, and kept her arms folded tightly across her chest. It was a futile attempt to conceal what was already obvious, the way her loose breasts moved freely beneath the snug fabric of her dress. I knew her bra was gone. I knew exactly when and where she had lost it, and more damning still, I knew where it was now, tucked away in my jacket pocket alongside her panties. But I wasn't going to reveal that detail. Not yet. I leaned forward, my voice calm but deliberate as I began to recount the events of the evening. I told her how my partner, Tom, and I had been patrolling in our squad car when we spotted what looked unmistakably like her Volkswagen Golf parked outside the Blue Gown Club. It wasn't just any place. It was one of the most infamous clubs in our seaside town, a place known for its dubious reputation and late-night debauchery. "Was that your car, Jenny?" I asked, letting the question linger in the air. "Or am I mistaken? Because, as I recall, you told me you were going to a restaurant for dinner tonight." The color drained from her face, her composure faltering. She clutched the edge of the desk in front of her, as though steadying herself against the weight of the moment. The movement caused her chest to rise and fall, and her attempt to maintain her modesty was utterly forgotten. Her lips parted, but no words came at first. "The Blue Gown Club," she echoed, her brow furrowing as if searching her memory. "Yes, that's right," I said, my tone growing sharper. "Think carefully before you answer, Jenny. Our marriage might depend on it." Her face turned pale, her hands gripping the desk tighter. For a moment she looked lost, her confidence stripped away. Finally she gasped, Yes, that's it, Jerry. It's a club, but there's a restaurant inside. We went there to eat and to dance." "Dance?" I raised an eyebrow, my voice taking on a harder edge. "What do you mean by dance, Jenny? There's nothing wrong with dancing, is there?" Her silence was deafening. She stared at me, her eyes wide and uncertain, trying to gauge how much I knew. In 9 years of marriage, I'd never known her to lie outright to my face, but now she was treading dangerous ground, and she knew it. "Did you go to the club?" I pressed, my voice calm but unrelenting. Her nervousness was palpable, every twitch and glance betraying her struggle to maintain composure. "That's for me to know and you to guess, love," I teased, though the edge in my tone left no room for misinterpretation. "So, you were dancing," I continued, still playful on the surface but with a growing seriousness beneath. She hesitated, clearly wrestling with her conscience. Finally she admitted, "Yes. We danced. All 3 of us danced a little." I said nothing, simply holding her gaze. "Okay, we danced quite a bit," she confessed, her voice growing softer, almost apologetic. "We danced most of the evening, all 3 of us." "And who did you dance with, Jenny?" I asked, leaning back in my chair, the question pointed and deliberate. "Anyone in particular?" Her lips pressed together, her hesitation stretching the silence between us. At last she answered, her tone defensive. "Just a few different guys. 3 girls like us get hit on a lot, you know." I nodded slightly. It was true, of course. Jenny and her 2 friends, Sue and Jude, were a striking trio. High heels, bare legs, short dresses that clung to their figures, tousled hair, and cheeky smiles. It was no wonder they turned heads wherever they went. "No one special," pressed, my voice steady. "You didn't dance with anyone more than the others?" Her eyes flashed with frustration, and she half rose from her seat before sinking back down, realizing there was no way out. "Stop teasing me, you bastard," she snapped, her voice breaking under the strain. "How long were you there, Jenny?" I asked calmly, ignoring her outburst. "What did you see?" She faltered again, her silence a confession in itself. "Ah, but that would be telling, wouldn't it, my love?" I teased, my voice quiet but firm. Jenny's shoulders sagged, her defiance slipping away as she realized she was trapped. She began to plead, her voice trembling. "Please, Jerry. Love you. Please believe me. I didn't mean anything tonight. I was just fooling around, flirting a little. But nothing more than that." "Then tell me everything," I said, my tone serious but not unkind. Lie to me even once, and it's over. Tell me the truth, and maybe, just maybe, I'll forgive you. The fact that she didn't argue, didn't push back, told me everything I needed to know. She knew she was on thin ice, and the gravity of the situation had finally sunk in. Swallowing hard, her expression grim, Jenny began to speak. For now, thoughts of a shower or sleep were forgotten. The night was far from over.